tell you everything I've seen, the friends I've made, and then you tell me how you've been. Look a little closer, it's been quite some time. You gotta let me know if I'm out of line. But there's some words that I just wanna hear you say, to put it all straight before this night turns into day, and then I'm on my way. Yes, I'm on my way. Naive and so eager to please. You know I played for love, but it got me on my knees. Now's the time to reap what I've sown. Your words echoing in every single bone. Underwater and so far out at sea, there's no cure for what you're telling me, and soon I'm on my way. Yes, I'm on my way. This pain is not of the ordinary. Every time that I breathe, I can feel you worry. So I have to take my love and write a different story. I'm on my way. Yes, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Yes, I'm on my way.
Well, not nearly the progress tonight we've been having. I mean, we've been kind of tearing a hog in the ass here lately in this thing. But every little bit helps. You win some, you lose some. I didn't get everything done on the list tonight, but we didn't get out here. It was after 8 o'clock, I believe, by the time I actually got out here. And so as we've been going through, doing some work, getting things cleaned up, I've finally been able to think a little bit about shop layout. Now, granted, I'm not going to move too much up here until this roof is insulated, and I may move things in as I get certain sections done. So behind the stove, I did put some foam board there, but we're going to go over that with a layer of Roxol, and then we're probably going to put masonry board, at least Durock, up to, probably up to the strainer beam there. And that should take care of any issues of heat against that foam board. Now right now we're still running, it's a little bit warmer there now than it was last night because of the insulation board, but it's like in the 70s. So I'm not too worried about it by the time we get, the Roxol on there and we get some Durock on there. I don't think it'll be any issues. Plus the Durock will help throw the heat back into the space. We're also going to get a fan or two behind this thing, probably one up high and maybe one down low so we can get some of the heat off of the stove chimney, because that single wall generates quite a bit of heat. But I am pretty happy to be where we're at. We're going into another weekend. It's Friday night. I may try to do a live feed next Friday night. We'll see what's going on. But I'm just I'm in the zone again finally. After, shoot, it took 8-9 months to get back to that point, but we're finally back into the zone of getting things accomplished. And I know even before, even last winter, before there was any issues with the accident or anything, it's kind of the same way. Hit January, February, you know, you get the winter blahs and you're just, the motivation isn't what it should be. But so anyhow, why don't I give you guys a quick tour and show you maybe some of my thoughts on what we're going to do for shop setup, maybe where things are going to go. One of our regular viewers, Ian Moon from Australia, he had some really good pointers for layout, and it kind of went along with a lot of the stuff I was thinking. So we'll play shaky camera for a couple minutes, and I'll just kind of take you around and show you what I'm thinking, and then maybe we'll go from there. So hold on just a second. All right, a little better on the tripod. I was going to walk you around, but I think this makes a little more sense. So what I was thinking, we come in through this door here. This is how much room I have to move through this doorway. Walk right through there, no problem. There's over 4 feet right there, so we have plenty of clearance. I did haul some 14-foot boards up here before we set the stove in place, just so I could kind of make sure we had a good flow. Now, natural flow of trying to carry long boards through here is going to go straight through, right to this western wall here. Let me turn you around. Okay, so we get down here. I was thinking of putting the radial arm saw right in this area, and thinking of having at least 10 feet on each side of it, maybe 12 on one side, 10 feet on the other. Left-handed, I tend to feed everything from the left so I can hold the board, use the saw with my right hand. I think that's how most people do it anyway. So I was thinking we could have the radial arm saw over in here. It's a 220 volt, so until I get my main electrical power out here, we won't be able to run it. But once I have this roof insulated, I could probably get it moved out here, start getting that set up. I mean, we've got so many benches and stuff to build out here and so much setup work to do. We're going to be a long time just doing that. I always have these big visions that we're going to do these epic and awesome projects, and then I get going on it. It's like, gee, I'm not really set up yet. The whole idea of this thing was to actually be set up for once and do it right. So we keep moving along. I'll move the camera again for you. So we come down this way, and now we have like 38 feet to play with out here, where we can, we have about 38 feet where we could squeeze a couple tools in here. So what we need to be aware of, or what I need to be aware of, is whatever I put out here on this wall, I've got a lot of length to work with. And so what I'm thinking, radial arm saw down there, and then the joiner down here to work the edges. We come along. So we come off the radial arm saw, we hit the joiner, and then this way, because we have 28 feet right here, we hit the planer. So we take it from the planer. I'm just kind of trying to think here, kind of going around in the circle. So basically the idea, what I'm thinking is, be able to move rough stock in the easiest way possible. Get it right through there. We do have our long trap door there, so that could be utilized for long boards as well, and timbers. That is part of the process, is timbers. So I kind of want to have my main assembly and work area down the middle. That's where I have all the headroom. That's where I have the best light. And of course, we're going to get good lights through here. We're going to get a lot of probably LEDs up in the ceilings all over the place, because I want a well-lit shop. I don't want a dark pit of despair like we are used to working in. So I come around here, and I repeat myself. You guys know that, constantly repeating myself. The radial arm saw, joiner, so we're still breaking down our rough stock. We take our boards off the joiner, turn around right into the planer. And of course, we want to get good space on each side. Now there is going to be a wall right there, and we're probably going to utilize that just for hanging tools, things like that, shelving, fasteners, whatever. Now that is one issue with this barn, especially doing the gambrel roof style, is I really limited myself for wall space to be able to make cabinets or to put cabinets on for materials and things like that. The doorway into the workout area is probably going to remain where it is in that corner, just so that I don't have a door breaking up a really good wall for me to put tools on. So we come along, we come around, I'll show you a little more mess. So I figure we come along down here, and I could put some short racks in here for the, possibly for lumber that's planed, ready to go. I probably won't be drying much lumber up here, but I do want to have kind of an area to store it. But basically the idea for me is when I get it up here, I want it already ready to use, because I don't want to clutter this wood shop up with a bunch of rough sawn lumber. Plus, green lumber carries a lot of weight. I believe like green white pine's almost 3 pounds a foot, board foot. So you got to take that into consideration, especially with the shop being on the second floor. I mean, it's plenty beefy enough. Wherever I put the planer, eventually I want to be able to get a nice 20-inch wide planer. So I'm going to have to plan that. That's going to really have to be planned out for floor weight. Our floor joists are 5x8s, 2 foot on center. They'll probably handle it no problem. I've got a 400-pound wood stove sitting over there, and it's catching 2 floor joists the way the legs are spaced out. So I could probably do the same thing with a planer, and I could probably get it close enough to the tie beam to where we're not loading that weight up right in the center of the joist and creating some sag as the years go on. So anyway, I'm figuring this area for kind of a staging for lumber that's planed, ready to go. Kind of figuring maybe this whole wall. Down in that back corner, we're probably going to build a closet for stuff that just doesn't get utilized a lot. And it's kind of a wasted space as it is right now. I mean, the only thing it's going to be good for really is just collecting junk. We may hang some racking, or I may do some hangers from the roof a little bit. Our roof rafters up above are 2x8s, rough cut 2x8s, and they're 7-foot spans. So they're plenty strong enough to hang a few things from. It's kind of overbuilt for the snow load that's going to be on that. Haven't decided on that yet. And let's take care of our plans for the middle. This one you guys are going to like. All right, let's see here. So down through here, we're going to come off the planer. I plan on kind of keeping my table saw pretty well where it is. I want to make sure I have a good 8-10 feet behind that thing for clearance. So if I get long stock, plywood, things like that. My nice table saw from the shop, from the pit of despair right now, that's going to come out here. That'll be set up. This will probably get collapsed, folded down, and kind of rolled into the corner. That table saw is very handy though for a lot of things I do. I tell you what, it is really nice to have 2 table saws if you're able to do that, because it's setup time, things like that. If you have multiple cuts to do and you have a couple different sizes, it's nice to be able to set up 2 of them. Like when I'm building cabinets and I'm doing stiles and rails, some of them are 1 3/4, some of them are 2 inch in the same cabinet. So it's kind of nice to really be able to just kind of go with it. So I figure table saw, the placement of this bench, I'm not so sure on yet. I'm almost thinking I'd rather put a nice, when I go to build the nice bench, maybe over this way a little bit, because we're going to have the table saw, but I also have to think about where I'm going to put a router table or a shaper or whatever. It'll probably be a router table. I have to build another one. I made one out of cabinet plywood years ago, just on some 2x4s, and I built a couple kitchens with it, but I kind of want to get something nice. So we'll be doing a router table, we'll be doing a bench. We've got to have a spot for the bandsaw to get set up, and so all that will kind of take up this area and behind a little bit. I want to make sure I have enough room to move around all my tools. I want to be able to move around all my tools nicely, but I also really want to consider the workload that's coming in here and how that's going to affect movements and room. So basically the idea is, by the time we work our rough stock, we get it through the radial arm saw, we get it through the joiner, we get it through the planer. You can stack wherever it's going to be. I have a project I want to do. I pull that wood off of wherever it's stacked. I can get right to the table saw. And there's going to be plenty of room this way too. I may run that table saw so it's feeding from east to west. So I could just pull my lumber right off the pile. It could go directly on the table saw. I'm not doing a lot of turning. So I can work that over. Then possibly maybe do the router setup over here. Or maybe bandsaw router. We'll see which one. Bandsaw, I don't use it a ton, and that's on a movable base, so I can kind of slide that wherever, move it wherever I want. And I'm really thinking that I'm probably going to make like the table saw bench portable. We'll probably make the main workbench so it's portable and go from that way. So basically by the time we get down through here, we got a finished project sitting right next to the door. I did mention something you guys are going to like. So you guys watch me, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you watch me hoisting really big timbers up through this trap door in the floor here. I mean, we had some big ones. I'm talking 16 foot long green 10 by 10s. It worked really well. It was phenomenal. I acquired over the summer, while I was out, somebody gave me a trolley system that hangs from a ceiling. So what we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to do some, I want it good and beefy, whatever it is I attach that to, but I want to place it right over this trap door. So basically the idea for me is, because I want to be able to move stuff and work timbers up here also, when I do my timber framing, I really have to be thinking of that. So we're going to try to keep the center fairly mobile and fairly open. I mean, this looks like a huge shop, but when you start filling it up, it's going to get small in a hurry, especially with that back end there. We've taken that back end and given it up for the boss, which is perfectly all right, because she controls the happiness in the house. But, so we're going to put that trolley system, it's on a rail, and I think I have enough rail to go most of the length of this shop up here. So what I'm going to want to do is, I'm going to have to mill 8x8s again. And I think 8x8 is a pretty good number for that. It carries a pretty good load. I mean, I hoisted all those big timbers up. I hoisted them up on two 16-foot long pressure treated 2x6s sistered together. No joints in the middle or anything, but sistered together. And I tell you what, the 2x6s, they lifted it just fine. But I'd rather be better safe than sorry. So basically the idea is, if I have any heavy materials like timbers or something like that, I can get it up on the trolley and I can roll it from one end to the other with no issues. So pretty much everything except for like the joiner and the radial arm saw and the planer, we're going to have that on a movable base. I got a hold of a bunch of, I don't know if you guys remember the old Time Life books they used to come out with years ago. They had a lot of them on woodworking. I was doing some boiler work at one of our local libraries, and the guy gave me a huge box of them. Looked like they'd never been opened. They were just going to toss them in the dumpster. And I didn't realize how many really good ideas are in there, and I think it's actually some perfect ideas for the table saw bench, stuff like that. And I think it might be fun to go through those books when we finally do start getting into projects, and maybe doing one once in a while just out of that book and see how it turns out. So, anyway, I know we kind of rambled on a little bit, but this is the first time we've really kind of talked about how we're going to utilize this space, how we're going to set it up, what's going to be the best method. I mean, planning out a shop space, you're going to be stuck with that space for a long time, hopefully. And whatever you do, you either better make it movable so you can change things around easily, or you better have a really good plan starting out so you know you can work with that plan for a long time. I've never had a full-size shop to work out of, so I got to remember that I can spread out a little bit. I don't need to cluster myself into one corner, because when you get used to working in small spaces, you do tend to do that a little bit. So anyway, that's all we have for tonight, folks. Again, like I said, we didn't get everything done on the list tonight, but that's okay. tomorrow is another day. We've made such good progress, it doesn't break my heart. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will catch you on the next one.